Hey, yo, what up? I'm Josh Martinez of the Superstar Crossover Podcast on iHeartRadio with my guest, WWE Heavyweight Champion, Cody Rhodes. What's going on, man?
How are you, man?
I'm chilling. Last time we spoke, it was right before WrestleMania in LA. A lot has
Uh,
happened. Over the last year, what would you say has been the biggest difference in your personal life?
oh gosh, in my personal life,
Hmm.
I'm a first time girl dad, and that that presents its own daily milestones and discoveries, and I've learned a great deal about True and the Rainbow Kingdom on Netflix, for example. And I've learned to yesterday I put together a chair, and this was such a simple construction project. I took forever with it. I battle tested it, but just the feeling of pride to do those kind of paternal things, that's been the absolute best. And WWE schedule is unique. The schedule for the champion is indeed an aggressive schedule, but I still get time every week with my girls, and that's just the best. Seeing 3 years old where they start to the verbose and opinionated and repeating things you say, oh, the best.
My daughter turns 1 in about 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah. So, have you spoke to your wife about what sport you want to put her in, like the very first sport?
So she's right now, so at 3, she's putting her toes in the water on dance and gymnastics.
Hmm.
And again, we had parents, I think both Brandy and I, who it's on you. Like they weren't overly like stage dad, stage mom in terms of overly pushing it. We really want her to whatever she enjoys. My wife figure skated at a very high level in Detroit for years, and some of these videos you see of her just like blow my mind in terms of if I, didn't see her face, I think it's another person because of the grace that's involved. This is a thing I know nothing about. I know
Of
nothing
course.
about competitive figure skating, but it would be cool. Libby's been on the ice a few times with her mom and just kind of, waddles around, but actually can stay up on her feet. And that would be really special if she wanted to get into that. Again, I also am looking for the most financially not crushing child sport because, as you know, they're all year round now basically, and whatever you tell me, whatever we need, I'm gonna get it. We're gonna do it. But figure skating would be pretty cool. Whatever she wants to do. She seems like she might be a bit of an academic. Like she's got kind of a Ravenclaw mind to herself, where I can tell like, I'm worried because in 2 years she's gonna be smarter than me. You know what I'm saying? Like I got time, but not much.
So in your business, in your career world, you are the face, if you will, of the company. What is kind of an unknown aspect of carrying that title, physically carrying the WWE title, but also being kind of the guy?
Well, it's not something that you take for granted, and you might think like, yeah, duh, that makes sense. But basically, one of the things I've noticed that I really, really like is it is very, very like winning an election in terms of WWE helps build a team around you. You
Mm.
get dedicated people, which I never had a dedicated person in terms of you have a dedicated person from talent relations, you have a dedicated person from travel, you have these dedicated individuals who we do a little weekly meeting every it's small little cabinet meeting every Friday at SmackDown, and the schedule is just hilarious. This is where we need to go. This is where we need to be. Matt, my driver, he's going to be here. Blah blah blah. It's just really organized, and that might be WWE now in general. It might not just be me who's receiving that kind of treatment, but I have really enjoyed it and also really relied on it. I actually was at WWE HQ this past week asking one of my higher ups, "Hey, does it get bigger? Like, this seems like it requires a lot of people, and God bless them. Like that's awesome, amazing. Like, but does it get bigger?" And the answer is, yep, it just gets bigger. So I thought, okay, all right.
So talking about kind of the higher ups and thinking about TKO, they recently announced that they're going to kind of cut back on live events next year or starting next year.
Yeah.
What is the pros and cons to taking uh, talent off the road as putting your EVP hat back on?
Yeah. Pros and cons. A pro is more time for rest, recovery. we're the modern WWE with all the medical protocols that exist in terms of, to have the best nutrition, to have, the mental clarity, the focus, to be dialed in physically. We still very much are a, you know, I guess toxic to a degree, but heavyweight. Like there is a vanity element to professional wrestling and sports entertainment. So in terms of everyone's preparation, that's a good thing in terms of being able to get that mental clarity, to be able to get your time at home, but also be able to be locked in on work, to be able to get the best nutrition, the best recovery, especially, they have all these things now with the cold plunges, inversion tables, blah, blah. I mean, I'm at DDP studio now and half the stuff is in here. So, but the con for me, is I only get better at wrestling by wrestling. So that's a con for me. How I can kind of mitigate it is I have the Nightmare Factory where we can wrestle and do things and train. But training for wrestling, like I never believed in wrestling schools growing up because the only way you can really do wrestling is by wrestling in front of an
By
audience.
doing it. Yeah, by doing wrestling.
You got to do it in front of an audience. And that will be a challenge for me because I feel like I've really kind of slid into the prime of my career and I feel really great. But I know if I take some steps back in terms of that, I'm going to have to mitigate it some way. I'm going to have to find, okay, how do I train for this if I'm not able to do Saturday, Sunday house shows heading into a Monday Night Raw per se. I think the majority of the locker room and roster probably looks at it as a really great thing. And from a company standpoint, business-wise, it makes the shows when they do come to your city even more special versus just being a given. So it's mainly pros across the board. I just have to find a way to kind of keep the wrestler in me wrestling.
So you mentioned DDP yoga. I spoke to someone yesterday, and with the Superstar crossover, my last guest has a question for you. And he spoke about DDP yoga, how it's helped him. Because my question was basically like, how are you alive, dog? And that should be tipping you off a little bit. Darby Allin wants to know.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for getting me to AEW. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Cody Rhodes, so thank you for Cody Rhodes. So here's a question. Does he think I can actually be the face of AEW? Does he believe I can be the face of AEW? Because he got me here, and he was here from day one when Mr. Darby was so insecure and didn't know his true worth. Does he think I have what it takes to carry AEW in the future?
This is a real Darby? The real Darby wants to know this question?
Yes.
Or it's like a fake Darby online asking for Darby?
No, I sat literally, he was to my
so this is real Darby.
Yeah, real Darby Allin. I could say some stuff if you want to prove it some more.
So the answer is a guaranteed yes. But don't let Darby fool you. He was never insecure and he was never not confident. Darby is almost overconfident. And that's what we do. We talk smack, we wrestle each other. This is entertainment. I don't mind it, but sometimes your overconfidence is actually arrogance. When in his case, instead of it being arrogance, the experience that he's had now with Sting, the experience he's had seeing the different changes in the company, all of that, that is the experience that you need to lead you to where you see the clarity and you see the moment and go, hey, I can be, I hate using this terminology, but I can be the guy. Absolutely 100% could potentially be the person. But, and here's the but, that spot is available to far more people than we think in every company. Everyone thinks it's about, it's the politics, it's about who you know. There's a degree of that in everything, sure, but it's so much more fair than you think. If you look in the mirror and you say, hey, I want to be in John Cena's spot, look at John Cena's schedule for the day. If you can do it, then perhaps you're on the path to getting that spot. If you can do it every day, then perhaps you do get the spot. If you can do it every day plus one, then it's yours. And I think it's a far more fair business than people think. So 100%, but there are other people that I would say that about as well. He certainly shouldn't be remotely in doubt on whether he could do that or not. But also like the stupid climbing mountains and getting hit by buses, you can't be the face of the company if you're not relied upon. You know what I'm saying? You can't wrestle anybody if you're in a body cast. So that's dumb. But I say that with love.
Of course, he credited DDP Yoga and apparently has stuff in his basement that heals him up. We got to wrap this up, but you mentioned something earlier about kind of cringeworthy sayings, if you will. So that kind of got me thinking. Yesterday with Darby, he said he hates the term pillar. He thinks it's corny. He just doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Is there a wrestling term that maybe you hear or see
Yes.
on social media with fans that you're like,
Everyone.
fucking stop it, please?
So I would say like every term, but the truth is the wrestling fan owns the terms.
Mm,
So a lot of times when we have students at the Nightmare Factory who say they listen to Cornette's podcast or Conan's or Meltzer or Sean Ross Sapp, whatever it may be. Sometimes the terminology, say they just watch an inside movie, like Iron Claw even.
mhm.
Sometimes the terminology seeps in and they say it as if they know its function. And in wrestling, you really don't know its function. Like I've never met someone who can properly tell me what the term kayfabe means. I have not met a single individual who can tell me the one word definition of kayfabe. Haven't met them. However, I don't mind when it's said. I love when I see the term heat because heat is wildly overused. However, you guys own the terms. You guys, none of that stuff's said in the locker room. Never we hear, I don't know, man. Watch the gimmick and kayfabe this. None of this is said. We don't. This is not a pirate ship. But yeah, you guys own the terms, so none of them make me cringe. Every now and then in an interview, when you hear one in a question, you'll see like and all that means is, oh no, oh he knows, he or she knows it all. Here I am. Because for me, and that's what I tell the students at the school, you should never know it all.
Mm.
Always. Hey, if you like what Cornette has to say, great. Check this one out. It shouldn't learn it all. Learn it all. Be a master of everything, and you'll be far more prepared to do what you can do.
So we got to wrap this up in about a minute. I'm just going to shoot you quick rapid fire
60
questions.
seconds.
Here we go. Do you believe in Joe Hendry?
Yeah, he's great. He's a good kid. Really good.
Mania,
I liked him. You don't have to wrap it up in 60 seconds, by the way. She's just pushing you.
you know what it is?
Maybe 90 seconds.
I like to be respectful of time, unlike some other
Yeah.
people this morning. So
Yes.
gentleman named Ruben on the Mania Club Facebook page wants to know, what is your dream match now?
Oh, this is a tough answer. My goal is to main event WrestleMania, and who I main event WrestleMania with is my dream match. And I do not have that answer. I do not know what that is. I might have an inkling. I might have a hint. I might have multiple hints. I might have different doors to open. But that to me is my dream match. I don't mean to give a cop-out answer, but in this moment where you're holding the North Star to the business, everyone is the one you want to be the dream match.
Tatiana wants to know, is there kind of a plan in place in regards to your daughter consuming your matches and how she watches wrestling?
I think now, this is really off the top of my head, I think now the plan is she just watches the entrances. She just watches the entrances, the pageantry. Here's some fireworks. She can do the whoa. We've seen the whoa a few times. But the physical aspect of it, I haven't figured out what mine is. You know, my father raised me old school. It was 100% real. I don't know if that's the strategy you want to take, but also it worked for me. So we'll plan. I will probably defer to Brandy in terms of how much she consumes.
Winged Eagle title, bro. What are we doing with that? What's up?
So I'm so glad you asked. Please know, anyone who ever heard me say the words Winged Eagle title, I actively am still on the hunt. I am still on the mission. And if anything, I have shown in the past, even if it's for a single night or fleeting, I try to be a man of my word. So I'm working on it.
Final question. I want to know best advice you have for a girl dad.
For a girl dad?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's the toughest question you asked by far. Best advice for a girl dad. Spoil them, right? You can have boys and train them to be your predecessor or whatever the heck, or rub buttermilk on their calves to be superstar athletes, whatever it is. But my daughter at 11:11 every night, I make the same wish. She will never want for anything. And if that means she's spoiled, and that means 20 years from now, the entertainment industry has to deal with her being a princess all over the place, she will always know she is the princess of our family, and I will spoil her to the ends of the earth. If that's irresponsible, sue me.
I love that. One more time.
Don't actually sue me, by the way. Nobody likes to get sued. So
One more time, Cody Rhodes. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much.
thanks, my friend. Thank you.